show. Dan, Jimmy, Darcy, and this week we've added Luke. Welcome, Luke. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
And we hope that you're interesting. Because we don't have any
Up for myself.
subscribers and no one watches the show. But so this is all right. It's riding on you.
You, Luke, could be the reason we have a subscriber.
So tell our listener a little bit about yourself, Luke.
I was told that this was like a real podcast. So
it is.
It is.
I showed up.
Define real podcast.
I feel like Donald Trump at that meeting where the black journalist wanted to interview him, and they started like 30 or 40 minutes late for a 30-minute interview.
Right now, you feel like that?
Yeah.
Do you feel like
had
Donald
way too
Trump?
high of expectations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going way better than normal so far.
We'll pull it out of the archives one day.
So
that's what we say about all of our shows.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The main thing is every time we have a new guest, we look at the analytics and we see if our viewership spiked. And if the viewership spiked, then we can attribute it to the new guest.
Well, I need to be able to send the invitation link to my mom, my grandma.
Yeah. Your kids.
All the people I think will want to watch.
Do you want your mom and your grandma to watch this podcast? I mean, look at the kind of individuals you're talking to here. You got to think about that for a second. You can answer. It's fine. It's a live podcast.
Yeah, we're streaming on YouTube. Don't cuss. What we did learn, you can cuss. But you can't brandish a firearm. While
you will get
streaming
shut
live.
down just like that.
No, I thought about bringing down my broadsword that my wife got me for my birthday.
That might be too much.
That probably would classify. But we don't know for sure, so you could try.
We can have weapons in the background, but we can't brandish them?
Yes. You can have weapons. Yeah, that's the thing.
Look.
So you can have weapons in the background. You can have, if you record and then you put it live, you can do that. Like, I'm sorry, if you record and then you post, you can have weapons. But if all I see is
it can't be live.
So all we see, at least right now, is a vertical like this. So you have to center up whatever it is right dead center.
Why don't you change your view to the view I have, where we have 4 landscape videos that encompass more of the backdrop?
You tell me how to do that, and I will do that.
I think the viewers are missing out. I think they need the full scope. Like, I see Jimmy's bookshelves. I see Darcy's flag and his guitar up there.
Really?
I see all of your bone trophies.
There you go.
That's weird because I don't even know that I have that option.
Those guys.
Are you, Luke? Are you using a computer?
You on a laptop?
I'm on a laptop.
That's it. That's
You're
why.
on your phones.
What?
Well, Dan is too.
I'm on a laptop.
Kids these days, they spend all day on their phones. It's like
I need to fire up one of them old laptops.
Phone down and unplug for a minute.
Yeah.
Now, Darcy, there's a law. There's a law.
Oh, wait. I switched it.
Oh.
I went over to the side. Where you don't have chat, Luke. I have people and chat, and I hit people. And
there I see chat.
To your
Looks
view.
like I do have chat.
You have chat.
Yeah.
Now, Darcy, there's a
we're learning with Luke on here.
There's a rule in the theater. There's a rule in the theater. If there's a shotgun hanging on the wall at the opening of the show, it's going to be used like in Act 2.
Oh,
shotgun or
is that the rule?
I didn't know that rule.
They made a law about it. I'll find out.
That's interesting. I have, since we were talking about chat, I have the young people's. I think we should do a segment on the word of the day.
Okay.
Tell me if you guys have heard this phrase by kids, like teenagers. It is to use the word chat as a, what would that be? Like if I said, instead of saying Darcy, I said, what do you think, chat? How would that, Luke, you know language. What do you know what I'm saying? Like if I, instead of saying like bud or how's it going, Darcy, or how's it going, friend, you use the word chat. Have you heard this, of this?
As in
No.
person that I am speaking with currently.
Correct. Like calling the person you're speaking with currently chat.
What?
Hmm.
To encourage them to like respond and talk with you?
Well, you guys guess, and then I'll tell you why you call people chat.
I'm gonna guess I don't know what you're talking about.
So if I was like, what kind of books you got on the shelf there, chat? That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I assume you're talking to me since there's books in the background.
Yeah. But do you know why they use the lingo?
No.
Is it because
So it's
is it because of that old school doll, the Chatty Cathy? Jimmy's mom got a bunch of them.
She does.
Does she really?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know there was a doll. I just heard that phrase, Chatty Cathy. I didn't even know there was a doll for it. Wow.
It is a doll. Yeah.
I'm learning new things all the time.
You pull the string
chat,
out of its back, and it's like
really?
Mhm.
You should bring one of those on the podcast sometime, Jimmy.
Oh, I can bring one on.
Are they collectibles?
I think so. I don't know.
Now,
I
here's
should
the
collect
thing.
Who you are, I
Here's the
guess.
thing.
my
person.
podcasting experience, the word of the day is supposed to like enrich our minds with like words we didn't know before, and now we're dumbing them down to tell what the young people are doing these days.
It is dumb. That's why I'm bringing it up.
So you say teenagers are saying it?
I had some
Yeah.
relevant information.
Okay,
Chekhov's
come
gun.
here. I got one right here. I got a 14, almost 15-year-old teenager. Let's see what she says.
Oh, a
Yeah,
test,
yeah.
live demo.
Put this in your ear.
Live demo.
That'd be your left ear.
Okay. She ready?
Squeeze in. She's.
Okay.
Can you hear?
We
Get
can't
down
see you. Okay. The kids these days are using the word chat for when you're talking to a person. A pronoun. Correct?
Sometimes. People at my school do. I don't.
How, can you use it in a sentence?
you explain why they use the word chat.
I actually don't know because I've like heard people say it, but I don't like.
I think half of them don't know why they say it.
That's the
I don't
issue.
know why people say it. I've heard it.
Don't you want to fit in and be like the cool kids?
No, it just sounds stupid.
Are you the cool kid at your school, chat?
Oh yeah, for sure.
See, you used it correctly.
He did it. He threw it right in there.
You did it. You threw it right in there. You're a
And she
linguistic
answered.
genius. And she answered. So here's why. Because kids talk on group chats so much now that they have taken and appropriated the word chat from the chat box to be anyone that they're talking to in real life.
What? I could be.
That's why they use the word chat.
It's like they're looking at the world through like through a video game screen or like through their social media, and instead of people they see like avatars, and it's like if I want to talk to that person, I
Hit chat. Yeah.
Chat.
Chat. What?
Chat.
Oh, man.
That's what it is. Now that and I know that you say that this wasn't enriching you, Luke, but because you're on the podcast and I'm just dumping this on you right now.
And you signed the waiver.
Luke, you signed the waiver. Luke is the person who got me introduced to a book called The Machine Stops.
Stop.
And I have been seeing The Machine Stops in everything now. Could you give a brief Machine Stops synopsis?
Synopsis with spoilers or spoiler free?
Spoiler free. Have you guys read it yet? Because I know I told you guys to read it.
I've read it a couple times.
Yeah,
You've read it a couple
listened
times.
to it a couple of times.
Well, the viewers have not. The viewer has not. So go ahead, Luke.
Rory, read the book, dude.
About
you need to read the book
years
for
ago.
sure.
All right, let me explain. No, there's too much. Let me sum up. About 120 years ago, the industrial and technical revolution was beginning and going, and people just thought that machines, tools, industry could just make the world better and better and better and better. Some people were seeing what was happening and recognized, like, not that like we're against making lives easier and things, but what's the point? What's the purpose? And you probably heard the idea, like, so you can microwave your food in 30 seconds instead of cooking it in an hour or whatever. And you think you're saving the time, but with that freed time, now you're doing other things. And it's all about convenience, all about comfort, and all about consuming. So if you've read The Brave New World, which was Aldous Huxley's dystopian novel, it's kind of similar to that, but The Machine Stops focuses mainly on creature comforts, and in an effort to like connect you to the world, they prophesy. It was a prophetic kind of a book because it has things like what we're doing right now, Zoom calls. It has things like Amazon. Instead of going to places, you just bring everything to the person, and they also made the world the same all around. So it's like, why go to Peking, China, if it's going to be just like, London, and why come back if this is just like that? So the idea of like suburbia creep that's just going to make everything the same, put a McDonald's in every city. So all of that goes on, and we're hundreds of years in the future when the book begins, and one guy has started to get free in his mind, and then he realizes that he needs a body that can do what his mind is wanting to do, which is basically escape, or at least be free of the machine to where I'm not totally dependent on this machine all the time. And to do that, he has to exercise so that he's strong enough to actually walk down the ramp to get to the tram. And he has to exercise in order to like climb a ladder. So think like Matrix mixed with WALL-E, mixed with Brave New World, and you'll be pretty close. But as the title says, the machine can't keep that up for all of time. It's going
perpetually, indefinitely.
It's going to break down, and when it does, there becomes this new, like a human reset, and mankind, like life finds a way. Jurassic Park, it's like mankind is going to get back to where we actually talk face to face with each other, not through the machine. We actually touch one another, which had become kind of like a very improper thing to do.
Almost taboo.
Yeah. And one thing that the machine did to maintain control was to separate families. Like the responsibilities of a parent basically stop at birth. Once you've birthed the child, there's not really much of a relationship that you should have with it. Which is interesting because in the Brave New World book, they actually stopped doing it the normal, natural way. They actually do everything, not like in vitro, but the idea of like test tube babies. They actually they just get your eggs and sperm, and they do the whole thing in the lab. And so that totally separates. It's like a whole nother level. And I read the Brave New World since listening to The Machine Stops, and so it's kind of a different take on the same theme. But C.S. Lewis talks a lot about it in the Space Trilogy. So anyway, that was longer maybe than a short overview.
No, that's fine. I would add that despite, so it is happening. And one of the things that I noticed the other week that kind of brought it home is that we signed up for Walmart grocery or Walmart everything delivery. So not Amazon, but specifically from Walmart everything delivery, one time a year flat fee that you pay. So we're participating just like everyone else is in the machine. They will deliver whatever you want as many times as you want for a year for $100. And we were like, we ain't got no time to drive to Walmart. You've been in Walmart? You see the kind of people you deal with in Walmart? We've had 4 deliveries from Walmart in the past 2 weeks. And the only caveat is you have to deliver $30 worth of stuff. Okay. So when the first one came, I thought, cool, that got here in 2 hours. I would have, because of where we live, I would have taken 2 hours to go to Walmart and get that thing. But here's the line in the machine stops that came to mind. They said they made all of the systems to take people to things, but they discovered that it was more efficient to bring things to people. Right? Do you remember that? You remember this line, right?
Yeah. They had mistaken the purpose of transportation.
They didn't understand the purpose of transportation. Well, the thing is, I've saved $100 in the last 2 weeks having this stuff delivered. But how long can that last? How long can a system that will deliver anything to you in an hour, 30 minutes away from your house, from a physical Walmart store, how long can that really continue? Maybe it continues forever. Maybe next year it's $400, but you're so dependent on it that you don't have any choice. You have to pay the $400 or go back to spending the hundreds of dollars of gas to go get your own groceries. I don't have an answer. I'm just like, it's just creepy. That's all.
Okay. So here's my first thought.
Okay.
If you're using a service that is free, and I'm going to say this is basically free.
That's basically free, in my opinion.
Then you are actually the product being sold, which means your home address, your grocery needs, your regular purchases. Like, what do I want to know about this person in order to market to him?
That's fair.
You're uploading quite a bit of data into the. What is it that
by
China,
doing
is
the
it in
order.
China or Japan, where basically everyone is in a computer game, and all of their activities are either
China
good citizen activities or bad citizen activities, and you get points and you get deductions and there's incentives. It's like, I don't know. That's a thought.
There was a Netflix series called Black Mirror. Did any of you guys watch any of the Black Mirror?
Some of it.
I feel like most of those were based off of these like turn of the century dystopian like stories that were kind of foretelling. Because like that was one of the things was this social credit score was the whole like storyline, but behind one of them that basically drove the main character to the brink, beyond the brink of insanity. But anyway, that's what I got. That all came out of chat. So Darcy, you're the host. I'll give it back to you.
Am I the host? I thought I was just the guy that turned it on. Well, I mean, well done, guys. I'm trying to find a pen, and somehow I don't have one in my.
Here, just a second. I'll have Walmart deliver one to you. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, chat.
They said thanks, chat.
Her actual name is Quinsley. If you were ever needing that. All right. I'm writing down. As I do this, sometimes I write down minute markers when I think that there might be a good clip. Anyway.
Do you know that there's a mark clip button at the bottom?
Yeah, I see that.
At the bottom, like if I were...
if you were on a
if I were
computer, you
on
could hit
a,
mark
computer.
clip. Yeah. 20
Yeah.
minutes, 26 seconds. is
So
what
when we switched from the
Yeah,
word
I
of the
already
day,
wrote it down, like, to seeing behind the scenes.
behind the scenes. What, Luke?
so when we switched from word of the day to literature recommendation, and now we need to switch to the next clip. So let's do the next clip, guys. What's the next one?
Well, wait, but
'Cause that-
are we fully finished with literature? Because
I don't know.
Luke,
Do you guys have more?
you
I've
seem
got
like a pretty well-read character. What
I think we
what
should
is
go back to Luke's
are
intro.
those types of
Oh yeah.
just go back, just start over.
Let's just start over
Should we
with
just
Luke's intro,
start
then you
over?
can move all these clips around. Yeah.
Oh yeah, probably I'll do that.
Yeah. No.
All right.
So Luke, would you say, so you have already this evening referenced a decent range of books,
3 or 4 different authors.
although only yeah. What's what would you say is your general genre, or do you have a pretty wide range that you enjoy reading?
It's getting broader and broader, but there's definitely a tribe that I've found, and if you are interested, put a little plug out there for the Rabbit Room. So
They may not be able to handle all of the new.
the influx of our
Yeah.
listening audience.
Yeah, it might overwhelm their system.
Okay, so just a little bit about my most recent.
Wait, so what's the Rabbit Room? Give us a little primer on the Rabbit Room real quick, though.
Oh, we're gonna get there in a roundabout way, Darce. This is
Okay.
This is
Thank you.
is long form. You know, long form.
Oh yeah, you're catching on.
So I had an early midlife crisis, and then I started recovery, or then I had a spiritual manic episode.
Okay.
Of revivalist proportions. Then I had a breakdown mentally. Anxiety, panic attacks, like I just was a mess. Kind of floundered around for a year or two. And then I started in my recovery journey, which it turns out, like Jordan Peterson would say, if you want to save the world, start by like making your bed, cleaning up your room, like take care of yourself before you go out protesting X, Y, or Z. So in the recovery journey, I started to find myself, which the kind of spirituality I was raised up in, or religiosity, I don't know what to say. It's like, basically it's a lowering of self to the point of almost like non-importance, with the idea that the less of you, the more of Christ, right? Which sounds great. And there's a couple of verses that you could use to back that up. But then on the other side, you have this idea of like self-care, self-love, and understanding that, I think it was maybe, I don't want to misquote, but it's like the glory of God is a man who is fully alive. It's like we're made in God's image and we're made to be like him. And I used to think the more like him I became, the less I would be like myself. But it turns out the more like Christ I become, the more Luke I will be. And of course, you have to understand the dichotomy. Like there's an old Luke who yells at my kids when I get mad, and who sleeps past his alarm. But then there's the new Luke who's made after God's image and created in righteousness and true holiness. So the new Luke Myers is more Luke the more he grows and becomes more like Christ. So anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But in the spiritual awakening, in the recovery journey, and then slip in there my little brother committing suicide, like kind of shaking up life as we know it, and you start wondering, thinking about what things are really important and why wasn't I able to help him back then, and all of this mixing together, I discovered some artists, and one of them was Andrew Peterson. Liked his music, loved his music. A lot of it really resonated with me. And so then I read one of his books. And of his books that I know about, I would highly recommend Adorning the Dark, which is the idea that, yeah, the world's dark, but we're the light of the world. And how are you adorning the dark? How are you shining in this dark night? The second one is called The God in the Garden, God in the Garden. And both of them are a little bit autobiographical. He's kind of like talking through his spiritual journey. And one of the big things that woke him up was the music of Rich Mullins. And so I was like, Rich Mullins, listen, a couple of the big ones that but then you listen to some of his other music and you're like, oh, wow, this is really good stuff. And it got me into this world of like independent Christian music, which is like now when I listen, if I hear K-Love, I'm just like, I kind of cringe a little bit because there's these really good singer-songwriters who are writing very good music, and it's maybe not for the masses, not as marketable, not as popular, but it's so good. So then I start finding out that these people are all, reading the same authors, and they've come to some of the same conclusions. And so one of the big themes you'll see, like, okay, C.S. Lewis and J.R. Tolkien, like these two guys had a way of sneaking past the watchful dragons and getting to people's hearts and souls and realizing like we're longing for something other than what we see around us. And it's not escapism to try to, just deny reality. It's actually, there's a higher reality. It's like we were made for eternity. We're stuck in time. We're made to live, and we're surrounded with all this death. So that's the idea. So Surprised by Joy is C.S. Lewis's journey. And you read that book and it's like, you realize how many books this guy's read. And I'd start writing them down and I'd kind of read some of them, and then you read Andrew Peterson and you find out all the books that he's read. And so the idea is like, we're not alone. Someone said that, someone asked a guy what he thought of that book, and it was a Dostoevsky book, I think. And I think it may have been Russell Brand, who's had quite the spiritual journey. He said, well, how could I not enjoy learning from this new dead friend of mine who is basically like downloading his life's wisdom right here for me to read? And thinking of the authors who, they're dead and gone, but it says, they're speaking to us from the grave. Now, I wrote this poem the other day for my daughter's birthday, and it starts out, sleeping spirits on the bookshelves, whispering from the grave. And the idea that we're just kind of picking up here in this century, in this lifetime that we have in this generation, but we're not alone. We didn't just get plopped on the doorstep. There's a cloud of witnesses that's gone before us. And as, obviously as Christians, I'm assuming we're all Christians here, but it's like this takes on a whole new meaning, because the way the gospel works is human beings from generation to generation carry it on and pass it down. And so C.S. Lewis has this thing called chronological snobbery, where people tend to think that like their current time with their brain farts,
like the contemporary wisdom
is better than the
is the height. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of opposite of that, and I've been reading so many books or listening to so many more books the last couple of years, and it really does. It's not just like broadening your horizons. It's like you've heard you're going to be the same person you were 10 years ago in another 10 years, except for the books you read and the people that you know. And so then it's like, well, I want to be hanging out with not your average guys. I want to be reading books, preferably that were written before I was born, you know. So I'm listening to a Dostoevsky novel called The Brothers Karamazov, which I had heard Jordan Peterson talk about. I heard Russell Brand talk about it, and it just kept showing up. So I'm listening to it, and it's like, whoa, it's pretty big deal, pretty epic. So
yeah.
So that's where I'm coming from.
I think potentially it may have been when I started listening to Jordan Peterson books, when I started just like going down his book like rabbit hole, because he mentions so many books and authors, and so that I'm either trying to make a mental note of it, or I keep a list in my phone of books that I want to read, and and then, you know, so I read a Jordan Peterson book and he mentions another some other author or specific book, so then I find one of those and I read that, and then that author references another book, and then I'm like, oh, well, I like this guy. I think this guy's pretty smart. I probably want to know why he likes that. And yeah, it's a pretty fun rabbit hole to to go down.
So the rabbit trail brings us back to the rabbit room, which
the
I was
rabbit
going
room.
to. So Andrew Peterson, when 9/11 happened, the idea of like tours with big crowds of people, for some reason, like people didn't want to get in big crowds. They thought, you know, there'd be another attack or something. So it kind of shut down for some of these artists that were living on the road or getting that money in through the summer or whatever to live on. They formed this group down in Nashville called the Square Peg Alliance. And so Andy Golahorn is a part of that. And if you haven't heard his stuff, he's really good. Ben Shive, Andrew Peterson, and several others. Well, on the literature side of things, they started what's called the Rabbit Room. And that's a really good resource to get your hands on, get your kids reading some of these books. Andrew Peterson wrote some books that were pretty good. And there was this one that he mentioned called Jayber Crow, which was a Wendell Berry novel. I read that book, and when I finished, like, I'm just like, I can't see the last paragraph because my eyes, that's just like crying like crazy. And it's the kind of joy that like the pain and joy mixed together that he was able to get out of me. It was just a pretty powerful thing where it's like, it feels so good to cry, but you got to cry with a smile on your face, you know, and tears of joy. It's like really cool. So it's then finding your tribe, you know, like my sister Ashley, who is Dan's age. She and I are like there's things that happen, or I'll read something and then like I have to text her or call her or send her this Vox, or just like, I'm feeling this and you're the only person I know that can understand. And so we go back and forth, and it's really cool to have that kind of connection.
So a couple of things about
check out
the
that
rabbit room. That would be just kind of breadcrumbs. Darcy and I went to college with a guy I'm spacing on his actual name, but
Sam
under his
Smith.
authorship, it's SD Smith. And SD Smith is one of the authors of the Green Ember series that is featured on the Rabbit Room. And
he's
a lot
got some
of
new stuff
children
coming out right now, I think.
Yeah, he has the whole Green Ember series, and then he and his son are actually writing a series, and I can't in my brain picture the name of that series.
Yeah, I just saw a post about it.
The second is, despite the fact that it's a pretty, I don't know, large movement, it's a very much a work in progress. This guy that I went to church with up until a couple of years ago, named Andrew Joyce, his brother is somehow involved in it, and Andrew's a computer technology guy and web designer, and he got on the Rabbit Room a few years ago and was like, this is really not well put together. And he started actually working on the back end of the Rabbit Room to, like, he just kind of volunteered his services to work on it, and has been, I think involved in it ever since, trying to get it like more functional than it was a few years ago. So if it's bad now, Luke, it was probably 10 times worse 4 years ago. So, but yeah, just a few odd connection points to that deal that we actually, whether you knew it or not, you had to it already. But
Dan, is it time for the original poetry section or segment?
Yeah, of course it is.
Absolutely.
Whenever I get
that's coming up at.
Is it slam? Is it slam poetry, or is it like real poetry?
Well, I wrote it last week for my daughter's birthday, and I referenced it.
So real poetry.
This is real poetry. What did you say? Slam? What is that? Something the new kid? The kids are talking about?
It's what
slam.
Oh no, you're not familiar with slam poetry? It's very activist. It's very very
like Chocolate
activist. Maybe
like Chocolate Rain.
It can be on. It's not a particular side of slam poetry, but you've probably watched YouTube videos where it almost comes out like rap against a particular. Right? Am I characterizing that correctly? It's almost like
similar to rap. Yeah.
Against a particular mindset or theme.
Yeah, it's generally intense and negative.
Almost indignant. Mostly almost indignant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good word.
I don't think I've ever
Jimmy,
heard of this stuff.
Have you written any slam poetry recently? I thought maybe you could
learning what it is.
Oh man.
I may have.
It's like, we're dropping the bombs while our kids are bombing tests. That's the kind of poetry.
Oh wow, that's neat.
Yeah. Am I wrong? Like, that's right? That would be a line from slam poetry,
rooted in
right?
the 60s.
Yeah.
But this is not slam poetry. You can bring your poetry. Go for it. Yeah.
All right. As I read this, you may just on your fingers kind of do a little count and see how many references you catch. I guess I'll say it.
I have a pencil.
Sleeping spirits on the bookshelves, speaking, whispering from the grave. Would you like to know a secret? Are you listening? Are you brave? Truest treasures hoarded fast in dragon's den and giant's lair. Father's sword is hanging ready. Magic beans will grow the stair. Dank in deep and darkest dungeon, saints sat singing in their plight, and the smile that blessed creation rippled through the stones that night. Loving lion leaves you longing for a body free from sin, in a land of golden goodness further up and further in. There's a world within the looking glass you never knew was there. There are fairies in the garden. There are castles in the air. There's a story in the writing which will never reach its end. There's an orphan in each one of us who needs a bosom friend. And I know you don't normally use the word bosom in talking with these young...
I do a lot.
So Molly is 9. She just turned 9. And she's loving Anne of Green Gables, which Lucy Maud Montgomery is a pretty amazing author. If you've never read... Like, if you liked Anne of Green Gables, you will love reading it. It's so much better. Just like how they always say the book is better.
Although,
nice.
I will say one thing about it that you might disagree with, Luke. Until I read it, having only watched it, like we watched it when Anne of Green Gables first came out, when I was a little kid, like literally in the 80s, I believe it came out as not a BBC, but like a public television creation where they would show
PBS,
like 3 minutes of it, and then they would PBS, and then they would have like 9 minutes of fundraising and then another 3 minutes of it. And we watched the whole thing. Okay.
Nice.
Right along when we what was the one that was Kunta Kinte?
Oh, Roots.
Your name is Toby. Roots. Right after that, it was Roots. Okay. So Anne of Green Gables and then Roots. That was the only thing going, so we watched it. I didn't realize how, after reading the book with the girls, how not a storyline that story is. It's just
not so
short stories.
Yeah.
It's just a series of short stories. And in the movie, they made it seem like it was like there was cohesiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Does that? But she wrote
I'd say
a complete story in each story.
Well, and here's the question. Is it about the journey or the destination? Because we're so strapped for time, when we open a book, like I think we start it, and maybe you've not finished a lot of books for that very reason. Like, this is not worth my time. Like, what's the payoff? And I'm gonna recommend a book here, the best modern book I've read. So write this guy's name down, Daniel Nayeri. Everything Sad is Untrue.
Wait, that's a Andrew Peterson song.
No, it's a quote from the Lord of the Rings.
It's a.
Wait, he wrote a.
There's a song called "Everything Sad Is Becoming Untrue."
That's Gray Havens.
By something Gray.
Gray Havens.
Gray Havens.
No.
Good group. Dan has seen them in person before they were famous.
Who is the singer of?
Oh yeah.
What? Okay, so you're saying Gray Havens is a group. What's the guy's name? Something Gray. It's
Sam.
Is it?
Sam
Gray?
I don't even think it's Gray in the name.
Yeah.
Gray Havens is from the Lord of the Rings.
If that song, huh? What?
There's one called Jack and Jill Part 2. And the refrain is everything sad is untrue, is becoming untrue.
There's a song, and it's written by a guy. It's a guy that Dan and I saw. He was touring with
John Mark
down
McMillan?
here. No. His last name is Gray. It's Jason Gray. There's a guy named Jason Gray, not the one that we went to school with and got murdered out in California. Yeah, Jason Gray has a song named "Everything Sad Is Everything sad is becoming untrue.
There it is. You're right. I'll have to give that a listen.
It's interesting. He's a pretty cool guy. When we saw him, and I don't know that he ever got like widely known or, bigger. We saw him as an opening act for a small group at a little church. Do you remember going to see that, Dan? When we went, we drove down like south of Harrisonville in the wintertime. It was like cruddy roads, and it was a Christmas concert.
Yeah. But they were all basically nobody at the time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Down here is a Canadian
I also know
band
that they played the didgeridoo as part of their thing, don't they?
Who did? Down here?
They don't. It wasn't down here that played the didgeridoo, was it?
I don't think so.
In one of their songs? They also use the quote in the Jesus Storybook Bible, but I think they attribute it to shoot, who's the pastor that just passed away this last year from Chicago? I've lost it in the reference in my brain.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
So Luke, when you asked the number of references, what is the number of references? If not, how many books are referenced in that sonnet poem?
That's what
because there's Tolkien, there's Anne of Green Gables, there's not Lord of the Rings, but there's.
Well, if you count Dragon's Den, you could say Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Giant's Lair with
and then
Magic Beans would be Jack and the Beanstalk.
Jack and the Beanstalk. Yeah.
The Acts of the Apostles. Alice in the Looking Glass is Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Nimble.
Are these all stories that
Molly has read, or I've read them to her, or
read them to her? Yeah.
But the Father's Sword is hanging ready. Amber just got me that for my birthday in July, and so it's like a real sword that's sharp on all the edges.
Oh, that's a real thing.
Whoa. So,
is it like a William Wallacey sword, or is it like a swashbuckler sword?
Now I have to show you. I can't brandish it, but I can show you.
Yeah.
You could just walk by it and not touch it.
Is this the second scene?
Like, I'm making no reference to this sword on the wall.
So Chekhov's rule, Chekhov's law. He says if there's a gun on the mantle, it's got to be used in Act 3 or whatever. The idea that you've got to take out things that are extra and irrelevant, like you can only have so much stuff, and everything has to be used. It was kind of his idea. You know what I may do is leave you guys hanging, leave the sword hanging, and
for next time.
I think I need to sign off here fairly soon, but so long as I know in advance, is this like a Tuesday night thing?
It's a Tuesday night thing, although we missed the last two, but usually it's a Tuesday night thing. Yeah.
Sometimes you're the only one.
So I'm always here on Tuesday night in this room. Sometimes I'm asleep in my hammock, but yeah. So thank you, Luke, for coming. We'll continue on. We have to do our YouTube check-in. And so if you jump off, we'll do our YouTube check-in, see how our competition is going. And we'll maybe see you back. Maybe
Well,
see
it's
when-
I
been
know
my
Jimmy's
pleasure.
losing still.
And I'll have to invite you.
Oh,
on
my pleasure.
podcast.
Well, as long as we only, here's the thing, we only go on people's podcasts who have at least as many listeners as we have. So
You gotta have it.
Right.
keep that in mind.
Big number.
All right. Thanks for coming, Luke.
Yeah, nice to meet you,
Good having
Jimmy.
you.
Good to meet you, Luke.
And should I
Yeah,
tell the Darcy
been great.
joke? The Heath and Darcy
Do.
joke? Have you heard that one?
Oh, maybe you should.
Go for it.
Before you go.
So there's certain like legendary people that are just outside of our circle, but you hear their names and you see them one time. It's like basically back when we were in high school, or actually early high school, it's like the song "She's So High Above Me" by Tal Bachman. Certain people were singing that about some Naomi Fredericks, who
Oh,
maybe
man.
maybe worked at Burger King at one time, possibly. It's like these are my memories.
Let's see here. She
worked at
I'm trying to
Aldi.
think.
I know that.
She did work at Aldi here in town.
Anyway,
I
so
don't
that
know
was like
where all she. Anyway,
Fredericks. So then Darcy Fredericks. So it's like a lot. So then later on, there's this guy Heath that works with Gabe, and someone was trying to explain Darcy, and I think Heath had a bigger beard at that time, but he said something about a beard and a cigar, and I was like, "You mean like Heath?" And the person said, "Close, but no cigar," which is the punchline.
There you go.
So Darcy,
But despite Luke, you have to stay on for this. Despite the fact that was the punchline of your story, the punchline of the song is actually quite funny because the singer of the song in our life was a guy who Darcy knows named Jordan Godsoul. And Jordan Godsoul considered Naomi to be so high above him while trying to date Luke's sister, which absolutely like pissed her off. Like you think that you can get me, but this girl Naomi is out of your league. Guess what? So am I.
Oh,
Nice.
well,
So I don't know if you knew that, Luke.
It probably didn't help.
But that
Jordan.
was that.
Jordan would rate the Sonic car hop girls that on roller skates, and he had a rating system in his mind, and he may have done that with.
That didn't work
Ashley.
out.
Believe it.
Yeah,
So just because you have a Mustang, Jordan, does not mean you can get any girl. You're
No.
going to need to do that.
And the thing is, when Jordan watches this episode of the podcast, he's going to be finding out for the first time that he was an idiot.
Yeah.
Uh,
And now we can roll that song from the 90s. That don't impress me much. Ooh, ooh, ooh,
Which he
so
also
you
liked.
got the car.
oh,
got the
Shania.
touch. All right.
Man,
On that note,
she's back.
On
on those notes,
on
I'm
that
going to
note,
sign off.
That's the note
Okay.
you're gonna sign off on. All
That's a
right.
good one to sign off on. All right. Thanks for coming, Luke.
See you
Thanks,
guys. Nice to
See ya.
See ya. I think that was our best interview yet.
For sure.
Am I right?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, he was
That's
good.
entertaining. That's good.
What hat you wearing there, Jimmy? got a new one?
Oh yeah, I picked this up in Alaska last week. It's the Coal Point Trading Company. They do a lot of just a lot of fishing stuff. They do fishing charters, processing, shipping, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Out of Homer.
Is that our sponsor this week?
Yeah, they are our sponsor.
our unofficial
If
sponsor.
you're in Homer, check these guys out.
And you want to go fishing, or you want to ship some fish, or whatever.
They will take care of you. Even if you're not in Homer and you feel like you need some fish from Homer, you can go to their website and have it sent directly to your home.
Awesome.
Nice. So, you should give us an update on the trip to Homer before we do the YouTube numbers.
Yeah, it was Jeremy and I went out there. I'm not going to give you all the details, but he and I went out there to check out a property, and we looked it over and enjoyed the views and stayed there and ate some halibut and enjoyed the town of Homer.
He sent me some of the photos of the sunsets out there, or was it sunrises? Yeah. Sunsets.
Yes.
And freaking amazing,
dude.
The backyard.
Yeah, Jimmy, tell us about seeing the view there when you were where you were staying.
Yeah, so
because you told me, and it's worth hearing again.
Yeah, so Jeremy and I walked out to the cliff edge for the first time, and we were just like speechless, did not know what to say. The coolest thing, the coolest view we've ever seen. And after a little while of just standing there in awe of the view, I'm like, have you ever seen anything better than this? And he was like, no. Like, he's been to Alaska, he's been all over the world, and here we are standing on this cliff edge, and it's like the most beautiful, amazing view either one of us has ever seen in our entire lives. And we were there for 5 days, and every day was just as good as the last. Every day was different depending on where the clouds were, the fog. There was this weird mist that would come up the ocean and hit the cliff and then shoot straight up. And then when it would get to us standing on the cliff edge, just like would pass right over the top of you, and it would hit you in the face with this cold mist that was so cool. And then the eagles would sit there and they would just soar in the updraft of that cliff. Just right in front of us. It was unbelievable. Cannot wait to go back. Did not want to leave. Like, the last day we were there, we were like, I don't want to leave. It is so cool. And the pictures, whatever pictures you saw, do not even come close to what it feels like and looks like in person.
Nice. I'm hoping that my Airbnb advice gets me an invitation up there at some point if he closes the deal. I also saw all the house details, and like it's a pretty cool house too. Like, just visually interesting. Yeah,
is very unusual. It's 100% custom. The owners of the home built it and designed it and put a lot of love and thought into it. Very unique, very well done, unbelievably well done. 14-inch thick walls on the exterior, triple pane windows. Just super unique place. But yeah, there are a few things that need to be done as far as improvements go, like building a bigger deck. So maybe the 4 of us can go up there sometime and build a deck.
It needs a hot tub too. I noticed that.
There is not a hot tub currently. Needs one. We talked about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an unbelievably awesome place. I can't imagine why anyone would want to sell it.
Yeah. But they have another place there too, right?
Yes.
With the owner of it.
They live there.
Current owner.
Yeah, the owners live there in Homer, but they I guess just wanted to be more in town. downsize something that's not so, so much maintenance.
Yeah. It's wild. It's a cool looking place. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure the photos that I got, like, I mean, I know that every time I ever take a photo of a sunset, I'm disappointed in the photo.
Yes.
So, like, that's totally understandable for sure.
Yeah, it's cool. Really cool. I highly recommend checking it out sometime.
Yeah. Sweet.
And
Dan,
they don't know.
We haven't.
Go ahead.
I was moving on.
No, yeah, go ahead. We haven't what?
Oh, we haven't had podcasts since you've been back from Wyoming. How was that?
Oh, dude, that'll go right into the YouTube videos too. So Wyoming, our cabin was cleaner than usual. That was good. There's a guy that's been using it more often.
Oh,
the couple that's been using it more than anybody else apparently just treats it better than most. However, when I went out to the outhouse, which I only went out there because when there's only a family there, we don't have to use the outhouse. We can use the toilet inside. We don't if you have 30 people there, they can't all use the bathroom because it's a bathroom set up for a one bedroom cabin. I went out to the outhouse and I was like, oh, there's crap all over the place in here. What's that about? And I opened the lid. A large rodent, hedgehog or raccoon or something, had fallen into the container where the poo goes and had evidently thrashed itself
freaked to death. Out.
Oh, it was gross. I mean, I was like, ugh. And it had been dead a while. So the outhouse is effectively out of commission right now, which is fine. But the fishing was pretty great, I thought. I went and I videoed 2 fishing days. Well, I videoed 3 fishing days, but I have posted only one of the 3 live online on my YouTube channel. So it was like a catch and cook stream fishing video.
Are you working on the second one?
I'm working on the second one. And if Jerry, if you're watching this, that was a lackluster performance. I don't know what to do with that. I went back to a spot where Jerry Phoenix, who believes in Bigfoot, claimed he caught this trout that was enormous, which doesn't come.
I thought you were going to get him on here to be able to try to defend himself.
We will. Let's do it next week. Let's get him on here next week.
Text him right now.
Well, maybe. It's 10:45. That guy actually works hard. He goes to bed at night.
Oh, weird.
I think, or he'll have drank too much by this time of the night. One of the two.
The latter may be good for fishing stories.
Yeah, that's true. So he claims that he caught this enormous trout in this thing. Only he caught it on a fly line and he broke it off right before he got it in the bag. Huge trout. So I went, and it's 3 miles from. It's about 2.5 miles from the parking lot where you have to stop. All vehicle traffic stops, and there's 10 miles of river downstream. So what I typically do is I go hiking down the 3 mile. I hike down enough that I get down into the really good fishing, and then I fish my way back upstream. And many locations, this stream is not wider than my house. It's not 40 feet wide at most locations this time of year. And I caught did I send you the photo of it or video? I don't remember. I've watched
the video on YouTube.
No, the brown, the one. I'm gonna go ahead and show you the photo of the trout that I caught in this hole, because now we're not talking big river fishing. We're talking stream fishing. Come on, where's that photo?
Email the photo to me and I can put it on the.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Let me try that. Let's go. I'm going to go do reply. I'm going to attach picture. No. I don't know if this is going to do it, but I'm going to hit send whenever this. I don't know if this is the right one. Oh, yeah, it's sent to you. It says that it did.
I'm opening my Gmail.
Okay, so this fish, the thing about it is thin for its length. That thing could easily put on 2 pounds, I think, for its length. But I'm betting that thing is 2 feet long, or really, like, I'm betting it's over 2 feet long. And the reason that I'm betting it's 2 feet long is because I pulled that thing out of the water and I was like, I know that we've caught and kept 22 inchers, or right at 22 inchers, and they were not this big. They definitely were not this big. So granted, it's not a salmon. It's not a like world record fish, but for that stream, this thing is pretty monstrous. So
nice.
Did you eat it?
I didn't. I let it go because I was doing a catch and cook, and I had a pan that was like this big around, and I was like looking at this fish, and I was like, "What am I like? I'm gonna have to cut this thing in 3 pieces. What am I gonna do?" Like that don't.
All right, here.
I don't want to do that
thing up here.
So I had it out of the water, literally just long enough to hold it up in front of the camera for a minute and put it back in. And it's, I mean, granted, I know you've fished for like salmon in Alaska. It ain't a salmon size trout.
Well, salmon
but
are
it's
like,
a good.
The one I was catching were like 30, 40 inches long.
Yeah, it's not anything like that. But for a stream.
Oh, dang. Yeah. That's nice.
It's a good fish.
Real good.
And normally I would say the stream fish are like that long. Like a foot long is a good fish in the stream.
Wow.
So
that's a beast.
And so I let it go because I just was like, man, I feel like this guy's earned in a stream this size. He's earned the right to keep living if he can.
No kidding.
So I cooked up.
Good catch though.
So I have that video that I have pared down from like 2.5, 3 hours of footage down to like, I'm trying to get it under 30 minutes.
This is your second day?
This is going to be my second fishing video. And I would like to get, so when you're making a YouTube video and you're trying to like make somewhat of a storyline, I went ahead and took the footage of it to Jerry's to get his reaction to me catching a fish in that spot. And we did it, but it was not very like, whoa, it wasn't very like ecstatic, exciting. So I'm a little bit like, yeah, I mean.
Could you use AI and
to make Jerry more excited?
Okay, hear me out.
Okay.
Redo the video with your neighbor, but then make AI make it look like Jerry.
Yeah. I think I could. Because Brad, honestly, like, You're right.
Brad is the person that you want to like have react to
Brad's
something cool.
He is. He's so much like Jerry is so hard to impress. You know, he looked at it and he was like, "That's a good fish."
Well, Jerry also
and
has
he's like,
it has a precedent to keep.
Right. And he couldn't say that it was bigger than the fish he caught out there. I don't know if it was. The thing is, his fish, it's like that when the kid says, like, that fish was that big, right, Grandpa? Grandpa goes, it is now. You know, like, that's Jerry's fish. Mine is on video. So, like,
yeah.
But I do believe in Bigfoot now because Jerry is
You
right.
do?
There's big fish in that hole. Yeah. If he's right about the fish,
If he's right
logically,
about that,
if he's right about that, he's got to be right about Bigfoot. Right?
I think Bigfoot lives in
one theory.
Homer.
Lives in Homer?
That's what the signs all say.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
One of the other things that is...
I did not.
Did the people take pictures of you and your beard and put them on the Bigfoot sighting website for Homer?
Possibly.
Probably.
Let's see. Let's see if there's a Bigfoot sightings website.
Dude, if there's not BigfootSightings.com, we should buy it.
No good.
I'm not going to lie. I'm going to jump on GoDaddy and see if that's available because that would be a great website. And you just put up pictures of randos, like for sure.
Dude, that is a great idea. I bet it's taken. Dude, there's no way.
Nah.
It's not taken?
It ain't coming up on Google. It ain't coming up on the search.
Get on there, Dan.
Bigfoot. Okay, I'm just going to type it into... Okay, www.bigfootsightings.com.
How could that not be bought already?
It ain't. It's not. Click here to buy bigfootsightings.com.
Okay. We got to buy it.
And then dude, somebody wants $12,000 for it, though.
Oh,
BigfootSightings.com is for sale. They want $12,000 for it.
That's too much. I'll give them $12 for it.
I mean, that rolled off the tongue so good that it,
yeah,
like, of course it's $12,000.
How do you know that already?
How about, because I went on GoDaddy, I have an account, and okay, sawbigfoot.com is $2,000.
Dang.
It's for sale.
Why are these people buying up websites without any thought of using it?
Just to sell it.
For that, to get somebody to buy it.
But they ain't buying it. But nobody's going to buy it for $12,000. Apparently.
You could negotiate. You could negotiate with them. But they know what they have. That's the thing. Somebody who believes in Bigfoot is like Bigfoot.
Does it say how long someone's owned something?
Not well. You can look it up. Yeah. What would be another Bigfoot?
What did we just look up?
BigfootIsReal.com.
You could do Bigfoot map.
BigfootIsReal.com. Their broker can help you try to buy it, so that person doesn't have it posted for sale. BigfootMap.com.
Oh, there is a Bigfoot map.
No, that one's set for sale. BigfootMap.com is 1 cent.
What?
I can make it mine for 1 cent. First year.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right now.
.com. Oh, foot. I misspelled it. I took off the T. Bigfootmap.com may be available. Bigfoot.
No, I'm looking at it right now.
Oh,
and there's no sightings in Homer.
I'm not on there.
Oh wait, there's Anchorage. What's this? Oh no, there are some. Where's this here? Oh, that's Ketchum something Bay.
Yeah, that's right around the corner.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Oh man, somebody saw Bigfoot out in the ocean.
No, man.
Oh wait, he's on an island.
so
Okay, red.
Bigfoot dash sightings is 1 cent for the first year. Bundle and save. Orgnet info YXYZ.
Is there a Facebook page or a Instagram or something like some social media?
Bigfootsightings.ai. Okay. Hey, we don't have all night. We don't have all night. So let's get back on topic. Okay. So here's my current take on weird. Okay. I'm pulling up my YouTube studios.
Okay.
I have 799 total views in the past 28 days.
Okay.
I have
nice.
56.3 total watch hours, and I have 17 new subscribers.
Awesome.
For a total tally of, at least according to my analytics, 58 subscribers out of the 500. 86 public watch hours. That's not bad. And still 5.6 thousand public shorts views, but that really doesn't help the watch hours, or that doesn't help, because I'm going to hit the 3,000 watch hours before I hit 3 million shorts views. But Judah said I need to, now that my video has slowed down, I should at least
do some remixes.
Do some shorts remixes of that one. That video I put up a week ago has 14 subscribers, 52 watch hours, and 477 total views. That's not bad for my videos. That's great. That's like so far above average that it's ridiculous. It has 397 more views than usual, 49 more watch hours than usual, and 13 subscribers more than usual.
Okay. That's a lot more than I have.
Do you still just have your one video about the fish tank?
Yeah, I need to produce a few more.
Dude, I'll tell you what you need to do, Jimmy, that you won't
I'm listening.
I mean, I see there's a guy on YouTube. You could do the exact same thing with Jimmy's version of it. He started off with a bass that he caught that was only like this big. He caught it on a lure that was almost the same size as this bass. Took it home, put it in a fish tank, started feeding it, and made videos about growing this bass. Now his video channel is about a 5-acre lake that he's had installed.
Really?
And stalking it for like with everything, fresh water, like all the things you can think to feed bass. he's
Dang.
stalking with those things. Like, and every week he's coming out with a video, and he's growing like 10, like 5, 9, 10, 12 pound bass that he's got trackers in.
What?
I'm not
Nice.
joking. Did you see it, Darcy? Did I send you any links to that?
No,
It's crazy. It's a faceless channel. He never shows his face on it. He's always showing
Really?
either the fish tank, a little koi pond that he has a couple bass in, or this 5-acre lake that he's
What
had
part of the
installed at his
country is
farm.
he in?
It's called Bama Bass. You tell me what part of the country it's in.
I would guess Alabama.
Yeah, I think so.
it's not.
I think
It's
that's
Virginia.
right.
Virginia?
Oh man, Bama Bass down here in West Virginia. Yeah, I mean, I'm not joking.
West
Like,
Virginia Bama bass.
It's in
I
Oregon.
you like a few years ago, he went from having a fish tank and he feeds the bass like whatever, growing this bass, I forget what its name is, to like putting in an entire bass pond with like LED lights and everything, and like just feeding these things, like feeding these bass shad, and he stocks it with trout in the winter. He stocks it with tilapia in the summer, because tilapia don't usually live through the winter. Trout don't usually live through the summer. I mean, it's insane.
That's funny.
I'm
That's
just like,
crazy.
what? So yeah,
Well,
I mean,
maybe I could just start doing that.
Mm-hmm.
literally. I mean, I've been catching like 50 of these little bass like this long out of my pond every time that I fish there, and either taking them and trying to fillet them. I'm trying to figure out a good way to cut them up, because I hate throwing them on the bank. But they say you're better off throwing them on the bank than leaving them in the pond.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're not going to do anything with them, get them out of there so that they don't keep eating your like prey fish.
They provide food for the eagles. It's fine.
Yep.
Foxes, eagles, coyotes. Yeah. I'm a little bit curious because I watched one guy who was talking about how small ponds will have all these little fish. And he was saying that usually there will be a handful of individuals who figured out how to eat fish that big. And there will be like a few monstrous, like 2 or 3 monstro bass in there, with all of these little guys that are just eating all the rest of the food sources. Personally, have not caught one of those monsters.
That's how Jeremy's
ever.
ponds are. We've pulled out some like 6-7 pound bass out of his ponds, and most of the time you're catching little, 10,
Dinkers.
8 to 10 inch bass.
Yeah.
But then every once in a while you'll hook a 7 pound bass.
When I was in high
I would
school,
love to catch one like that.
when I was in high school, my buddy and I they had this farm pond. It's just out in the field, had cows walking around in it sometimes. And there were tons of catfish in it. We'd set bank lines and stuff and catch, 40, 50 pounds of catfish overnight. And then one day we set some bank lines and jug lines, and we went out there and checked the next morning, and we had, unfortunately, it was caught on a jug, but I think it was a 12-pound bass. The body on that thing was like probably 14 inches tall.
What?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was so big. And I think it was like 27 inches long or something like that. This fish was massive. And unfortunately we caught it on a jug, and we weren't able to release it.
Yeah.
And
Really?
and also that negates it from being entered as a record fish. So you have to catch it on a line,
Mm-hmm.
on a pole. for it to be a legal like catch, not legal, a qualifying catch. So we checked because it was, I mean, it was massive. It wouldn't have been the state record, but if he had registered it, it would have been up there, and it would probably still be on the list, you know, in the top 5 or 10.
They'll have like the top 10. They'll have like the top 10 even if you.
Yeah, but so he had it mounted, and he had it in his bedroom. You know, I hope he still has it, maybe in his office or something. It was awesome.
We knew a guy
so big.
We knew a guy who caught what would have been, because the funny thing about fishing records is they actually have like they have a fishing record for largest of this fish caught on this size line. Even.
Weird.
And he was supposed to be at church one night, and he comes into the church after having fought this catfish for like 2 hours. He had caught a 58-pound channel cat or something like that in the city lake on 6-pound test. And a little a little one of those white jigs with the feathery tail and the red head. And it was like he was out to waist deep in the water trying to get this fish in.
That's awesome.
And unfortunately, they took it up to our neighbor's place and they put it in. He had one of those tanks, like oxygenator tanks, but the conservation guy couldn't get there till like the next morning, and it had died. And it doesn't, like, if it's died, you can't, like, before it's
registered,
officially scaled or whatever. Yeah. If it dies too soon, it's no bueno. Yeah, those record deals are touchy at best. Also, watching bass stuff, trying to figure out how to fix our bass problem out there. I was watching a wildlife biologist who was basically saying that releasing fish, unless you like get your hands wet before you touch it, take it out for the photo and put it back in, its chances of living, not that day, but like the full calendar year after being caught, are very, very low. Like these fishing tournaments where the guys put them in live wells and they bring them in and then they do the weigh in, those fish, he's like, they're all dying. They're not surviving.
Really?
And he's like, you also might as well just keep them, because a given body of water has this much ability to grow food. And it takes 10 pounds of food to grow a bass 1 pound. And all of those pounds of food in that environment are going to get eaten by something. So if you have 1,000 little bass, they're going to eat all of the food, prey animals, bugs, etc., and all the fry from the crappie, all the fry from the majority of the fry from the crappie, the majority of the fry from the bass and prey fish. And you're going to divide that food source over all of those fish. If you only have 100 individuals, they will basically pack on all of that same weight onto those fewer individuals. I mean, it makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. But so now I'm like on a tear to take fish out of that pond, because I'm thinking,
just get a net.
How many?
And drag that thing.
I've thought about one of those throw nets. I wonder if one of those throw nets where they're like, you like take it and you chuck it out and just like let it go down around them and then pull a bunch of them out. I wonder if that would.
I have one.
Do it.
Maybe
you do.
Mm-hmm.
We should get it out. We should get it out and try it.
Yep.
Because Oh, I've been talking a lot, but I got one more thing.
Okay.
I scheduled the event, which is the opening day of youth rifle season for the Rock House. I believe that it's one week prior to rifle season. I believe it's the previous weekend, or maybe 2 weekends.
Is
before.
it that close?
But I don't
think it's one weekend. It might be though.
I think they moved it closer this year.
Well, they moved rifle season a little, or it's fallen a little bit later this year.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look it up. Because
what event are we speaking of?
So what I want to do is I want to go out to the Rock House and have a deer camp, father-kid deer camp at the Rock House. Now, granted, there's not room for everybody to hunt at the Rock House. Obviously, it's not that big of a place, but there are 3 or 4 public hunting properties around that area. And I think that my cousin Gabe is going to take a group of people down to one that he's familiar with at Truman Lake. It's like a 2,000 or 3,000 acre hike-in public hunting area at Truman Lake. And he's had pretty good luck.
Dude, I have a memory. I have a memory from my childhood that took place at a public hunting area in Truman, in the Truman.
That's not good.
Region. No, I don't think it's. I'll just tell you about it.
Okay.
So I had to have been. I'm trying to remember where we lived at the time. That's kind of how I gauge. I know how old I was. Different places we lived. I think we were living in Belton at the time, so I would have been probably around 10. We lived there from the time I was 6 or 7, until I was 12. So it was probably just somewhere in the middle there. Anyway, my dad hunted when he was younger, and then he was in college there and didn't have much chance to go hunting, and also didn't have any place to go hunting because he was in a new city, in the city. So sometime, some guy probably was like, oh, you should go hunt the public land down there around Truman Lake. There's a bunch of it. So he took me with him. So we hopped in the little Toyota pickup, just little single cab Toyota pickup, took a tent. And of course, this is like 1990, back when hunting season was cold. And it wouldn't have been opening day. You know, it was probably later in the season. And we drove down there in the evening. So we got there in the night, didn't have a place to camp, just like didn't know anything about the area. So we just pulled off the road into like the pull off where it's gated. Like we're at the gate that you can walk into the public hunting area, but you can't camp in there. So we pitched a tent on the shoulder,
on the gate, outside the gate,
outside the gate, next to the truck. And this is like nowadays, if I dragged my kid out in the middle of the winter, I have equipment that my child could have a totally fine eat night and sleep warm. Like I have 0 degree bags. I think I have a negative 30 degree bag. And but back then we had those flannel Walmart sleeping bags. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you remember those?
Oh, I had them.
They weigh like 70 pounds, and they're like R2 insulation.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So I don't think I slept at all that night because I was so cold. It was so cold. And I'm just this little kid in a Walmart sleeping bag, cotton and flannel. And then we wake up early in the morning, and my dad, and I'm not hunting. I'm just there. And my dad takes me and just like dumps me in a bush. And then he goes on in and sets up, wherever he's going to hunt. And then he comes and gets me on the way back out to the truck. And then we drive home. He didn't shoot anything. Yeah. And I didn't
I thought
see
a buddy
anything.
was there not a
froze. I sat there and froze. Yeah, that's how I learned how to hunt.
Right? That's how you learned how to hunt.
Did he not have the friend there? I thought he had a friend there. I might have missed something.
No, it was just he and I. Some guy had just told him, "Oh, you should go down and hunt that Truman public land," and so we did.
Which, by the way, the Truman public land is enormous. Like,
yeah,
like it's enormous. Most of the around Truman is public land. It's Corps of Engineers land. So Gabe's familiar with that area. I believe he's going to take his sons and potentially other guys and sons that want to hunt there. My plan was to stay at the Rock House, fix breakfast for people before they leave, fix lunch for people that are hanging out at the Rock House, and then have a campfire in the evening on the Saturday. And then on Sunday, fix people bag lunches for going out and, be around there, clean up, whatever.
Youth, Deer Firearms Youth is November 2nd and November 3rd.
Rifle
is 2 weekends
not
before.
The next week. Normally it would be the next weekend would be rifle, but they've moved it back.
Right, but this year it opens the 16th.
Which is later
it's
than
the 16th through the 26th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my plan for youth rifle. And it's not, I'm going to put it on the guild as an event. And I'm also going to invite some other people. I'm going to try to make it, and you tell me your thoughts on this. I'm going to try to make it clear you don't have to be a hunter to come to deer camp. Like, it's not that kind of thing. And I was going to say father-son, but I said father-kid because, like, I don't care if somebody brings their daughter. I mean, I said something to Sarah about it, and she said, Evabel would not want to go to that. She cries whenever she has to go outside. And I was like, really? I didn't know that. No, she said Ryan would want to go. And so anyway,
what if that's mom what wants I'm to bring her son? Weekend.
Well, I suppose, except that I'm not going to tell any moms about it. So I don't know. Like, that seems weird. Like, is she like one of those man moms, or is she an actual? For me,
she's a hunter mom.
My wife.
She wants to go hunt with her son.
I don't know. Why is your wife want to take your son hunting and you want to stay home with?
No, she does not want to go hunting.
She doesn't.
I'm not like.
Not even if Ellett asked her to.
I can't imagine a scenario that she would want to go hunting with me or my son.
So I'm also not making it like, I'm also trying to make sure that it's clear whenever I post the event that I'm not teaching anybody how to hunt. I'm not taking your son hunting kind of thing. I'm not providing guns. I'm providing a place for guys to hang out after their hunts. And I could help. I don't even want to use the word guide. I could help point you in the right direction for places to go hunting. But that's it.
Is it going to be
Does that seem
a couple questions?
Yeah.
Is Robert and his kids going to be all over your property on that weekend?
I might invite Robert, but I am going to make it clear that like
he would be there anyway, though, right?
I don't have space for more than just like my plan was me and Asa go out in the morning on our property. If Robert could get permission from Doug next door, he could go hunt down there, but that would be totally up to Robert as to whether he did that. But no, I wasn't planning on having like people running all over the property during that one. Fishing, yes. Cooking fish over the fire, stuff like that, sure. I wasn't figuring on people like shooting out in the woods during that weekend or anything like that. And not so much of like the survival camp kind of thing as much as like man at the house.
Stay overnight?
Mm-hmm. Overnight Friday night and
house?
Saturday night potentially in the house. Yeah. Unless people want to camp out in tents in the yard or something. I've had
How many hunters do you think could be on your property hunting at the exact same time?
2. I mean, that'd be about it. On my property, there's basically like you could have one, and it would be obviously it's be the only people that can hunt are kids. Be like one kid down low, one kid up high, and that would be about all I would feel good about. Because I mean, it's not like it's 80 acres, but half of it's out in a field. You know, that wood seems bigger than it is when you're doing a survival weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the stand that we hauled out there and put up.
Yeah, I have 2 stands up. Yeah, already.
And then, so there's the 2 stands, and then you could do the blind where Asa has hunted on that little meadow.
I have another ladder stand in the garage that I haven't built yet. That seats 2. Here's my difficulty
that could go
with
in that meadow.
It could go in that meadow or along that trail
or on the edge.
That's just right up from the house. Basically that trail that goes up the hill. And there's some good trees there that are right before that meadow goes up. So it's a really like a really non-disturbed hike up there. And you might catch deer going to like through the woods down to the pond or something like that. My difficulty is this. If I'm hunting with Asa, Judah's too old already for youth season. If I'm hunting with Asa on our property.
He is?
I think so. 15. He's 15.
When do you?
I think it's like up to
15
14
is still. Really?
Well, let me see. So here's the question. If I say I can have 2 hunters there, how do I pick who those are out of the group of people that might arrive?
Highest bidder.
No older than 15 on the opening day.
When's he turning? Oh my gosh, I don't even know when he's.
When does he turn 16?
That's a great question. I don't know. I literally can't think of when it is.
I don't think it's for a while.
Trying to think.
It's not, but his birthday's not in the wintertime.
Dude, he's already got his driver's permit right now. And that's 15 and a half, right? Or maybe that's 15.
No, it's 14.
It's not 14.
Driver's license, learner's permit is 15.
Learners.
It's 15.
Okay, here, I'm gonna Google it. How old is Judah Mock?
Yes.
So, okay, September 13th, 2008, he will already be 16. He will already be 16.
Yep.
So he will be too old.
Okay.
So that's the question. If everybody's paying the same amount to stay there, because I was figuring on charging like $100. I was trying to figure out how to get the same amount of money that I would normally get for renting it out because I already blocked it. So if I was charging 100 for the dad and 50 for the kid, 150.
Can I just pay 50 and send my kid?
Nah. Sorry. That ain't. That's not it. So like if everybody's paying 150 and I'm providing the food, so I clear $100 a pair or something like that. Man, I have to do 10 pairs to clear $1,500. Whatever. Let's say that everybody's paying the same amount. Maybe it's a little more than that. Okay. Who gets to hunt there and who doesn't? How do I decide that? Unless I just say, I'm hunting here. You guys, here's all the places you can hunt around. Like I don't think that it would be bad to have 3 out there. I just don't know how to ration the spots to where people are like, oh, that makes sense. You know?
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest womp womp. You don't have
that's going to be tough.
Enough acreage to do the hunting at the site. But also, most of the experience is just hanging out around the fire.
Sure.
Going to McCorkle's. So
That's right.
I don't think people are going to be I don't know how we're going to
maybe a trip to Walmart.
Trip to Walmart. Yeah. Trip to McCorkle's. Except that we can sleep inside. It'll be way less gear we have to drag out there.
Still don't have a cabin in Cameron.
That's true. You guys,
we forgot to build that, didn't we?
We
forgot to build it this year again.
Jimmy, are we gonna have a weekend here pretty soon to go up there and do anything? I was talking to Joe the other day, and he said the trails
should
are
we jump
basically
off?
gone.
Right. That they
should
are
we jump
always
off
gone this time
real
of year.
quick?
Yep. All right. Hey, thanks for watching the show.
Thanks for watching
It's Not Your
the
Average
random
Guys.
ending.
Thanks again to Luke for being on the show. And we look forward to having you back. And this is Not Your Average Guys signing off.